WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, often tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Daftmill, rare. 15-year-old, the oldest so far that's been released. Cask Strength, so this is very, very rare. I thought 55.7% ABV. So now this is a vatting of 28 first fill bourbon barrels from the Daftmill distillery. So that makes it a total of 5,338 bottles, which means we have about an average yield of 190 bottles per barrel, which is a little low, I think, after 15 years in cask strength. Could have been a little bit more. And so we had almost like 40% angel share. Ooh, over 15 years, which is not that much, but still is below. It's 3%, so that's all right. The price. We have to talk about that at the very, very beginning. So over here in Germany, basically 220 some euros. Ouch. It's too much. At the moment, I have over 59 online shops that still have these bottles in stock, going all the way up from 650 euros, going all the way down to 214 euros. Whiskybase number 206405. Now, when I originally had the bottle in my hand, I was like, well, there's not much information here. Single farm estate. Yes, I do know that. So we have two people. We have Francis and Ian Cuthbert. If I pronounce that incorrectly, I'm sorry. And this is a Lowland Single Malt Scotch Whiskey. Very, very nice. Daftmill. We all know and like Daftmill. Very highly sought after. A family-owned and operated seasonal distillery. So they only distill in the seasons where they're not plowing and tending to the fields. So it's more of a fall and winter type of project and not a spring-summer type of project. Located in the heart of the Kingdom of Fife. Now, there's actually a big push at the moment, not just to have Lowland whiskey, but to have Fife Lowland whiskey. And I'm not sure if I love it or if I'm not greatly in favor of it, but I have to inform myself more about the Kingdom of Fife. I'm so sorry. That's my ignorance. So this is cask strength, 15-year-old, distilled 2006, bottled 2022. Grown, distilled, matured, and bottled in Fife. I'm not really sure if they have a bottling plant there. Do they? I could actually figure that out, Daftmill. Now, on the back of the bottle is where we actually get some information. Now, the first paragraph is a little bit, it's good, but it's the next two paragraphs are like, wow, that was great. All right, so Daftmill is a farm distillery. All right, we know that now. Owned and operated by the Cuthbert family. It only runs in the farm's quiet periods, midsummer and winter, sometimes producing as few as 100 casks per year. All right, so if you take 28 casks, that's almost a quarter of your entire yearly production that went into this one bottling here, if that's always true. All right, when not distilling, Francis looks after the estate, growing the malting barley used to make this Lowland whiskey. Harvested, and this is really good. I like this. I'm talking about transparency here. Well done. Harvested from the farm's Dam Park and Curling Pond fields on the 31st of August 2004. So we know the two fields this came from. I mean, that's even almost better transparency than we get with Waterford. All right, so the Chariot barley, okay, we even know the type of varietal, was among the last to be malted in Fife by Robert Kilgore and Co. before they closed. So there was actually a malting plant there in Fife, closed unfortunately, but that was actually done there. Now, the very, very interesting thing is this was harvested 2004, but it was distilled 2006. Now, the more and more I know about whiskey now is usually it's a year later. So the barley is going to be harvested this year, 2023, in the summer, maybe August, maybe July, maybe September, depends on where you are in Europe. This will actually then go into storage, has to dry out, has to have a certain moisture content, then it will be malted, and then it will be sent to the distillery. And between harvesting and distilling is often a year. All right, in this case, it was more than a year. All right, so this was distilled in 2006. So the 28 casks in this bottling are all first fill ex-bourbon barrels distilled in 2026. When, we don't know exactly. So, and bottled in 2022 at natural cask strength. So I don't have any, I can't see any bottling code here. All right, so I do like the bottles. They don't fit in my shelving unit, too high, but hey, that's life. Now, I really thought a tiny little bit about this. What am I going to take as a comparison whiskey? I need something that is a first fill bourbon barrel. Now, I had hogsheads, but I didn't have very many first fill bourbon barrels. This is a Fettercan from Lady of the Glen. This costs about 90 euros. Now, it's a 12-year-old Fettercan single cask. So if you're going to look this up, this is single cask number, barrel number 5120, 57.6% ABV. So I just still have this left over from tasting, so I use it every once in a while as a comparison whiskey. So I know it's not 15 years of age, it's only 12 years of age, but there are similarities here. If you're going to look online, this is going to be a Whiskybase 192062. All right, so November 2008, 2006, bottled in April 2021, bottled in 2022. 12 years, 15 years. 249 bottles from one barrel, an average of 199. All right, so color-wise, they're very, very similar. Now, I'm going to propose a thesis, a hypothesis, and I'm going to say for delicate whiskeys, Lowland, even Fettercan in my case, first fill bourbon are not the best. Jason, no. Yes, it's not the best. WhiskyJason, think if I'm going to put a whiskey into a cask for 15 plus years, 15 to 18, I want a second fill bourbon barrel. I would even, if someone would do the man work and taking the hours and make hogsheads again, I would even go for those. So a second fill hogshead. Oh yeah. All right. So now why? In both of these, I'm going to get too much wood tannins. They almost overpowered the delicate spirit. Now, did Francis know that 15 years ago when he bought the barrels? Can you buy second fill bourbon barrels on the market readily? I don't think so. At least in Germany, I have not found any place that specifically says second fill bourbon. So I've looked, I've asked, I can buy first fill bourbon, I can refilled bourbon, but second fill bourbon is not something I can find. Second fill cherry casks, but not bourbon. I think that would be the ideal cask for a longer maturation of 15 to 18 years. Especially, as I said, of a somewhat delicate spirit here. All right, on the nose. Oh yeah, it's nice. And that's the problem. I should be wooing. I should be exuberant for joy for paying 220 euros for a whiskey that has to be out of this world. But it's not. It's good. And that's our dilemma here. This is a C+, maybe on a very good day, a B- whiskey. But it's not 220 plus euros in value. And I don't care. I'll put this blind compared to other whiskeys, 80 to 100 euros, single cask, cask strength, 12 to 18 years of age, and you can try those, and this will not stand out. And yet, for the price, it should. And that's my whole dilemma here, all right? The value for money is the dilemma. All right, I think that's the reason why almost 60 shops still have this in stock. First of all, 5,000 bottles was maybe a little bit too much. The hype is over, at least for that price at the moment. All right, so on the nose, gooseberries, citrus, a little bit of vanilla pudding. It's like a vanilla custard that's been in the refrigerator a few days too long. Get some wood, get a little bit of grapefruit. It initially reminded me a little bit of a Dingle Irish whiskey at Cask Strength from a bourbon barrel. A little bit. So that might be a compliment for Daftmill. It might be a compliment for Dingle. There is tropical moments going on in there. The Feta can has darker, richer caramel moments. I prefer this to this. It's less than half the price, 90 euros, 220 plus. The average price online at the moment is 290 actually for this. It's incredibly expensive. So if I go over here to Belgium, 260, 275. Go over to UK, 379 by Whiskey Kingdom. Go over to Switzerland, it's going to be 399 Swiss francs. Go over to the Whiskey Source and Fox Davies, 450. So this is the prices that are the price gorging that's going on there. Just really, really, really frustrates and angers me. Now I hope that Francis and Ian actually agree with the price point in Europe. That if I called them up and said, hey, Francis, your bottle's going for 220 euros, are you at least getting a third of that money? All right, not half, a third. All right, so don't forget about taxes. Don't forget about the middleman, the importer, the retailer, and so on. They need their money. That's all right. They're going to get like half of the money, all right? So a third of it goes maybe over for taxes and so on, but they should be getting a third, all right? But I don't even know if they're getting a third of that, all right? So if you take a third of 210, that's like 70 euros. Are they actually getting 70 euros per bottle? I don't think so. Are they actually getting a quarter of that? I don't think so. And so that's really, really where I think that money should be going, all right? So, yes, the importer should get their cut, 15%. Yes, the retailer should get their cut, 30%. Yes, the government gets a cut, 19% of VAT over here, 23% over in Ireland, and then we also have the excise tax, which in this case will be about 7 euros per bottle. So we just go for 13 euros and 3 cents over here in Germany, 50%. This is 0.7, so it's more like 6 euros we're paying excise tax on that. But of course you have to pay the importer his 15% on that. You have to have the 30% for the retailer, and even I have to pay the VAT on the excise tax as well over here. But that's okay. That's normal. Every single bottle is like that. So I really hope that the farm gets more money than normal. All right, good. Let's try this. There's a certain ginger heat, a little white pepper heat. It is 55.7%. I get much less heat on this. Alcohol is very noticeable. I wish I still had like a 2008 winter batch to compare it to. Don't. There is no wow effect. There is no, ooh, ah, yeah. It's a good standard cask strength ex-bourbon matured whiskey. But for the price, I would expect much more. It's a C plus whiskey. Value for money, D minus. I'm going to add a little bit of water. See if I can tickle out. First, I'm going to add 1, 2, 3 drops. Let's just opening it up a little bit. But not much more, not much difference from the nose. A lot of yellow fruits, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of wood towards the end here. The problem is the flavor goes down with the wood. The wood, the cask, overpowers the spirit a little bit. And that's a little bit of a shame. Because this is, I think the Daftmill is a delicate distillate that would shine after 15 years in a second fill bourbon casks. All right. As I said, this I like a little bit more. The distillery character of Fetacan comes through a little bit more. There's a little bit more of a caramel goodness going on here instead of the oak powering through. The oak's still there, but it's not overpowering. Here's a little too much. Question number 1. What is your favorite Daftmill? Have you had any wow Daftmills? Please write it down in the comments. Question number 2. You have €100 to pay for a Cask Strength, hopefully, bourbon matured. It could be first fill, second fill, refill, hogshead, I don't care. But not a sherry, not a port, not a wine, not anything like that. A bourbon matured, Cask Strength, single malt scotch. And I would hope to have something up to 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. Can you recommend anything for that price? 100, 120 euros, 12 years, why not? 120 pounds, $120, maybe even $150, who knows? What can you recommend instead of having to pay 240, 220, 300 in some place in the UK for this bottle? What would you have as a alternative? For 90 euros, I can really recommend this. It's sold out though. So what else can you recommend? Thank you very much for watching, liking, subscribing, telling others, and sharing. See you real soon. Whiskey Jason here. Bye-bye.